What is good? What is good? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Transparency. Come on in. Take a seat. Let's do this.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Whose house is this? Yeah, been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. And the other one.
I can hear Bella in the back.
Truly is for the win.
Some Delphi related, probably. They're all up handsy in Delphi, man. That girl's got more inside info on Delphi. I forget the shit that she talks about. Talking about rapes today. I was like, holy shit.
Disc that I was given to.
I'll
So
talk
there was
about
two
that.
different discs. Okay, they all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Welcome to the Transparency. I'm revealing a timeline tonight in the Brian Drake case. All right. Yeah, so take a look. Hector is going to be my co-host tonight. So here we go. Let me zoom on in. We've been talking about the Brian Drake murder, and then Dr. Dan Moore, he was charged with the good doctor's death in 6 months after the murder in August, late August of 2020. Dr. Drake was murdered on March 12th, 2020. So March 12th, 2020. This is Brian Drake's footsteps. According to his cell phone, according to his patient scheduling, according to his, there's witness testimony, phone calls, things like that. And I add and tweak this, you know, a lot and often. But Dr. Dan Moore being accused and of this murder that's not going to get anybody justice here. And I'm going to show you guys in this live and take you guys through a very, very detailed timeline. So let me zoom in here. There we go. So on March 12th, this is a Thursday, Drake gets up in the morning and he drives from Hayden, and he leaves around 6:08 from Hayden. So if you want to actually even go ahead and write that in, around 6:08 a.m. And he's going to be leaving Hayden, and he's going to be driving to Bonner's Ferry. and he makes a couple stops along the way. He arrives at his office on two devices, his Google app, which is if you guys have Gmail attached to your phones, guess what? You are GPS unless you guys are saying that you guys don't want that. So check into that device. And then his Life 360 app, which Brian Drake knew how to disable. Once he got to work, he did something to turn that notification off. And I think it's because his wife was tracking him, but whatever. Again, that's just my take. So here we go. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. And actually, I'm going to make this a bigger screen like this. And I'm going to make it so it's as clear. His first appointment that day was with Nelson. And then at between 8:35 and 8:58 a.m., Dr. Drake's phone stays in the same spot. At 8:45 a.m., because he has an appointment every 15 minutes if he schedules that way normally. But he did not have an appointment at 8:45. So he had one at 8:15, not one at 8:30, not one at 8:45. But during this time frame here at 8:45, Drake texts Brandon Glaza and says that he was running late. And this is interesting to me because of the next statement. At 8:58 a.m., Drake's phone moves from the spot it was in from 8:35 a.m. to 8:58 a.m., but it barely moves. So this is all GPS. At 9 a.m., that appointment that was scheduled for Brandon, Brandon knew that the doctor was going to be starting a little late. But here's something that's interesting. Unless Nelson pushed back his time to start this appointment and possibly brought his wife and kids, okay, instead of him going, in case there was a wife and a couple kids, because Brandon, based off of his interview with Dr. Drake, said that Drake was with a woman and her two kids that came out of the exam room. But I make it known right here that Drake did not have any appointment scheduled with a woman up until this point. But again, some wives and husbands, they have package deals and they will then send their, and you're going to see that a little bit later here where Gail went instead of Marshall with that appointment. But moving on here at 9:17, so his appointment started a little bit late. At 9:17, Drake's phone is in the glass door entry. So at 9:17 is when he or his phone, because somebody else moved it, but at this time I think it is him. From 9:17 a.m. until 9:33 a.m., he is standing at the glass doors. It's like he was having a conversation with somebody at the glass doors up until 9:33 a.m. Then his phone is back at his desk at 9:33 a.m. Again, he had no appointment at 9:15. So he had his 9 o'clock, then it was nobody. Then at 9:30, he has his appointment with Zin Ponce, female. She worked at the hospital. So Drake's phone is in the same position on his desk from 9:34 a.m. until 9:49 a.m. Then 9:33, Drake's phone is on his desk. Again, it's staying in this position until 9:49. 9:45, he has an appointment with Sharon. Not Sharon Stone, but Sharon. Sharon said that her appointment was normal and that she saw a woman come out with green scrubs on. That is consistent with what this woman wore to work. Okay? But here's the kicker here. Pay attention right here. At 9:49, Drake's phone starts moving by walking or driving, okay, to Isaac Funderburg's apartment as he arrives at Isaac Funderburg's apartment at 9:52. Now, this is what's interesting about this appointment is I'm curious to know if it started on time. I'm curious to know if she actually went. I'm just very curious about this because I can put Dr. Drake's phone beginning from 9:52 to 10:02 at Isaac Funderburg's apartment. 10:03 to 10:15 So unless like she just went like, in and out, she got there maybe a little bit early, but something's up right here with this. Because then Drake walks on over and he's from 10:30 or 10:03 to 10:15. He's at the Les Schwab building, which is right next door to Isaac Funderwer's apartment. So it's like, here's Drake's here's Drake's building, right? Here's the main road. Here's Isaac Funderburg's apartment. So you have Drake's building here. You have the far north here. This is Funderburg's. And then right next to it is, and there's a street. And this is your drive-through. But right here is a Les Schwab building. So he walks here, there for 10 minutes, goes here, and is there from 10:03 to 10:15 a.m. Now, what happens here is that he had a planned 10 a.m. Appointment with Andrea. And he is actually texting her and calls her because she misses her appointment. And he's like, hey, are you coming here? Like, what's it? She's like, oh my God, I totally forgot. So then he reschedules her at 11:45. So this makes sense that he's able to be where he's at because he does not have that 10 a.m. So they talk. She's coming at 11:45 now instead. So he has no appointment there at 10 a.m., no appointment at 10:15. Okay. At 10:17, so up over here, Drake's phone was at Les Schwab, 10:15. Now at 10:17, Drake's phone in the same spot from 10:17 to 11:05, and that's going to be back at the office. 10:30, he has an appointment with Dave Peterson. 10:45, it's a blank spot, no appointment. 11 o'clock, this was scheduled for Marshall Thompson, but he sent his wife instead. She took the appointment instead. Now, at 11:08 a.m. to 11:13, Drake's phone is at or around the glass doors, and what it looks like is happening here is that he's either like walking somebody out or greeting somebody, and I think it's probably like greeting somebody over here, but he's literally at his glass doors from 11:08 to 11:13. The other thing could be is that she could have gotten there earlier and that she was done by 11:08, because remember, he doesn't have anything there at 10:45. Please stop writing on my stuff.
I hope you muted it.
Nope, I'm not muted at all. Please stop writing on my stuff. Thank you. Yeah, please stop writing on my things here. So then,
I'm just sending you notes.
oh, well, I don't need those. Thank you, though. I appreciate your notes. I don't need your notes, but thank you so much. You could say hi to everybody, though. You could go ahead and you could write in chat and say hi if you would like.
I'm not in chat. Hi, everybody. Can't see chat.
Well, then,
We just
moving
got
on
done
here.
dinner.
So
What?
Drake's phone, again, we're all the way back up here, right here. 11:14 a.m. Drake's phone is at the Little Hut building behind the glass shop at 67996 El Paso. So again, he goes outside. He's like he's walking somebody out. Then he continues to walk. And what I mean by this is that here's Drake's
I was
building.
trying to tell you about those timelines that we looked up. That's what I was writing notes about.
It's okay. Thank you.
No, I know. But we looked those up long and loud. We looked
It's
all
okay.
those up.
It's okay. Thank you so much, though. I appreciate your help. I appreciate your help, though. So far north, here's the little drive-through because it's the coffee shop here. Now, behind over here, this is where the glass shop is. Okay. This is Dr. Drake's building. This is going to be the glass doors are back here. Right over here, there's a little hut. And he used to have a wood shopping building that he actually rented out back in the day back over there. There's also like a place to get your nails done up above the glass shop. So, but based on longitude and latitude, it's consistent with him going back by the door to leave out the glass doors. And then here at 11:14, he then goes back by that glass shop building, and it's 6796 El Paso. I remember like El Paso's the little alleyway, and then behind that, so there's like El Paso, and there's like Hillside. Now, at 11:15, there's no appointment. At 11:15, there's no appointment. All right, here we go. So at 11:15, no appointments. But at 11:15, Drake is utilizing the cell tower. I'm choosing to use the words utilizing the cell tower versus that he, there's different ways you could be utilizing the cell tower. So it's best to just say that. Let me zoom in a little bit more. No, nobody got married. Sorry. We'll be getting married. I've done that once, crazy people. Shit. That Stella just goes down like water. It's just going down like water over here.
Drink it down.
So, let me zoom in a little bit more. I think it needs to be a little bit more. There we go. Now, 11:15, again, no appointment. 11:15, utilizing the cell tower. 11:32, Drake's phone is utilizing the cell tower. 11:32 a.m., Drake's phone is now behind Les Schwab building. Say what? Yeah. 11:30, Drake has an appointment. Okay. So he's like just walking across, he knows all these people. Like everyone's all like talking to each other. This is a small knit community. He has some downtime. What he's going to do, stare at the wall. No, he goes outside, walks across. You know what I mean? Everybody would think maybe this is something normal. Absolutely. Except for the fact that Isaac Funderburg and Aaliyah Sandlin said that they had no idea who Drake was, that there was even a chiropractor over there. And I literally can place him at that time for 10 minutes at that apartment. He could have been standing at the door talking to the person, whether it was knocking on the door, waiting to see if somebody would answer. Nobody did. But he is definitely over there. So let's see. Now Drake has to get back over for this appointment here with Luann, and that appointment started at 11:30. As you can see here, Drake's phone, again, this is latitude and longitude right there. It's there till 11:38. Then he makes his way back in his office, and the phone is now back on the desk, which we are associating with latitude and longitude 3025 ending in. Okay? That's how we know that. That's why we think that. 11:38, Drake's phone is at his desk until 12:16 p.m., aka in the same spot. Okay? Now, remember that reschedule? So that makes sense. He handles Luann. They start a little bit late. That was normal, though, for Dr. Drake, as I went through all of his text messages, and I was able to see that he was always saying, hey, I'm running late. Hey, I need to cancel and reschedule. Hey, all the fucking time. So now that rescheduled appointment is at 11:45. Remember, Drake's phone stays in the same spot from 11:38 to 12:16. His appointments are like 10 minutes. He can get you in and out. No appointment was at 12. And then here, Drake's phone is still in his office. It just moved a little bit more towards the patient waiting room is what we have. And he was walking a patient out is how I look at it, and that's consistent with this rescheduling here. There was no appointment at 12:15. So Drake's phone walks back to his desk after he had moved a little bit towards like the patient waiting room, walks back to his desk, and his phone is then in the same spot until 12:40 p.m. Okay. Hopefully this is helping you guys understand this timeline. Now, there's no appointment at 12:30 because from this point on, there's not going to be an appointment until 2:30. So let's see what the good doctor's doing. At 12:40, Drake's phone is at the coffee shop drive-through. It's like right up. It's in a weird spot here. And not really when I say weird, but again, here's his office. This is Drake. Here's the far north coffee. They have that drive-through window. This is that drive-through road. And it's like he walks, out and he's like right. It's like almost like he's at the window. Okay. Which makes sense. Like he's going to order something, right? He puts his order in like that. Or, that's just what it looks like to me. Okay. But it's consistent with being right over here. Drake's phone then at 12:42 is utilizing a cell tower. Okay. Now, this is around the same time frame that Drake attempts to call his wife's cell phone. She doesn't answer, or she does because it's only like 2 or 3 seconds. And then he calls his son's cell phone, which they have a 7-minute conversation. So I'll be adding that to the timeline, but right now I'm just really focused on his movements. Again, no appointment. 12:44. Drake's phone is back at his desk. So that's why I think it's really consistent with walking over, talking to one of the girls, maybe placing an order for lunch. Again, remember looks like he had something packed though, but he went over there, he talked, it looked like he was right at that far north window. But here by 12:44, he's back at his phone is back at his desk until 12:59. Okay. No appointment at 12:45, but at 12:59, Drake's phone moves to, again, outside drive-through area and stays there until approximately 1:09. When I say like the drive-through area, because also the way that it's sitting up here is he could have potentially walked and been in and just been close to that wall. Okay. After hearing Misty Olson's interview, who was at the Hartman Financial building, and she was like the receptionist here, which was part of Drake's. So Drake's office is like this. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is like an office. This is like an office. Okay. And there's doors the glass doors here. Drake's in the back here. Hartman Financial was back here. Okay. And then up here was a nail person. And then this was empty. It was a dentist. It was empty, but now it's the Herald. So it's like his office building has 4 suites. And how I believe it is A, B, C, D, just so you know. But anyways, now, no appointment at 1. Remember, he always had that big gap. At 1:13, Drake's phone is utilizing the cell tower. At 1:13, it's utilizing the cell tower. It's like got like 40 seconds and then like 50 seconds. So it's like 1:13 and 40 seconds, 1:13 and 50 seconds. So it's back to back. No appointment at 1:15. 1:18 now. Oops, sorry about that extra 1 there. Drake's phone, again, utilizing cell tower. 1:19, Drake's phone is back at his desk until 1:19, okay, to 1:45. Now see this gap right here? From 1:09 to 1:18. I don't know where his phone is. 1:19. Again, Drake's phone is back at his desk until 1:45. Again, that doesn't mean that he necessarily has to be there, but that phone is there. There's no appointment at the 1:30 spot. 1:45, Drake's phone moves to the couch area of his office until 2:07. And I'm thinking that maybe he's taking a little cat nap, okay, that pull-out couch area. No appointment at 1:45. Now, this is interesting to me, is I think when she says 2 o'clock, you'll see there's no appointment here, but at 2 o'clock, Misty Olson, again, the receptionist here in the back of the Financial Hartman, that's what this spot was. Misty Cat, she says that she walked over to tell Brian about what had happened with the transient man having a tarp and being out by her window here and out by the brush, attempting to squat or just like have a tent or whatever. Now, when she says this in her interview to police, she's like, I think I went over there around like 2 o'clock. And something that she thought was interesting was that his office door to like go into the place. So here's Brian's building, let's say, here's the glass doors to go in. And then when you go to actually go into his whole office, that door to go in was it was open like 6 inches and not like it was closed. It was just like a little bit open. So she just like goes in. Nobody was out in the patient waiting room. And then to go into like where the exam room would be, that door was closed. She couldn't hear anything in it. And she just assumed that he was with a patient. So then she left. But she went there to talk to him to explain what happened on that Tuesday. So now the thing that's interesting though with when she's saying that she went, if she really went at 2, well, I think he was out in either on that couch, or he could have potentially walked out the glass doors and was outside, and that's why she totally missed him. And that's why the door was only open and it was like open 6 inches, because he just had walked out really quick to go do something, maybe go to his car. But very thorough here. Now, 2:07 to 2:15, Drake's phone is back on his desk. No appointment at 2:15. 2:24. So Drake's phone moves to the front edge of the corner of the coffee drive-through until 2:24, from 2:15 to 2:24. And I'm going to show you guys that on the map once I'm done, because I'm going to show you guys these areas. So I'll be coming back to that. The 2:24 to 2:34, Drake's phone moves slightly, just like if you took like a step or two. But it is still out front of the coffee shop corner. Now at 2:30, he has an appointment with Rachel. And that just got it from over there. So Drake's phone is back at his desk by 2:35 for his 2:30 appointment. Okay, and it stays now. Check this out. Drake's phone stays in the same spot from 2:35 to 5:14 p.m. The phone does not move. $2:45 appointments. I couldn't make out the spelling of that name. I have it somewhere. I'll fill that in, but he did have an appointment. 3 p.m. Linda. This is back to back. He was just ride it out here. Linda, 3:15. Then he had Cami. Then at 3:30, Lowell Grable took, and this is one of the guys that brought him to Bonner's Ferry, and he takes back-to-back spots. He probably works on him a little bit longer. I don't know. But Brian had him listed as like this spot and then pointed down to the next spot as well. And then stop writing on my stuff. Thank you.
No one's writing on your stuff.
Yeah. And then 3:58. 3:58. Drake. Let me zoom in here, so I want to make it bigger. Again, 3:58. Drake's phone is utilizing a cell tower. All right. So basically, right after Lowell is heading on out. 4 o'clock appointment with and this is what's interesting though. His phone is utilizing a cell tower, okay? But look at his phone is in the same spot from 2:35 to 5:14. So I know I do this sometimes. If somebody calls me and my phone is sitting on my desk, and if you call me and I just hit the button to answer your call, so if my phone's sitting like this and I just hit to answer it, it's staying in the same spot.
That's bizarre. Why is that in chat?
So
Why would you say that?
So that's kind of what I think here is that if his phone is sitting on his desk and if I got a call or I did something and my phone is just sitting there and I pressed the button to answer a phone call or wrote a text or something like that. But moving on here. So all right. Now again, during this time frame of his 4:30 no appointment, again, his phone staying in the same spot. Doesn't mean he couldn't have walked out, but he has this appointment, 4:45, Angela S., 5 o'clock. A lot of people that are all related Mennonites. Now, 5:14, Drake's phone's going to move. Drake's phone is still in the building, but it's not at his desk from 5:14 to 5:34. So it's almost like maybe he moved his phone from being on the desk to then being on in his back pocket or his front pocket while he worked on his 5:15. Now 5:30, his appointment is with Heather, and we're going to come back to who Heather is because Brian Drake, the good doctor here, asked Heather to have drinks with her, asked to have dinner, and then she talked about this appointment saying it was longer. She declined those offers. She felt, and then he asked one time if she wanted to come back later that he would work on her longer if she, wasn't, I guess you could say, if she still didn't feel good. That's what she says in her interview when she was interviewed. All right. Here we go. Sorry, I was changing some stuff out. 5:34. Again, mods in chat, just make sure that comments are being deleted that are inappropriate. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I guess some stuff's being written in chat. I don't know. I'm not even looking at chat. I have no idea what's being said in chat, but hello to everybody. Hi. Hello. Hey. But yeah, good old Heather here. She basically was making it all known in her interview that Brian Drake asked her to go have drinks, have dinner. What do you guys do for fun in this area? And then so that he would work on her longer, things like that. So 5:34, Dr. Drake's phone is back at his desk. Again, remember 5:14, 5:34, It just moved ever so slightly. Didn't leave the building or anything like that, but now it's back sitting what seems like on his desk. 5:54, that is. Drake's phone moves from his desk, what seems to be like to his car. And this would be consistent with everything except for when we get to the Paul Jacobson interview here. And we're going to talk about what time Paul Jacobson arrives. So I'm really looking into that because Paul Jacobson mentions that when he arrived, there was a woman in the waiting room, which would make sense, Heather, okay, and that he was running late because that's what this woman said, that he was running late. But here, there's Drake, and his phone at least is moving. You know, at 5:54, his phone goes from his desk to his car. So Heather mentions also that he worked on her longer than normal. So then maybe he walks her out, goes all the way out, you know, to the car area. And then it's easy to get and fall behind when you're doing appointments. If you guys, I'm showing you his day. He's running behind because he's fucking running all over the place. You know what I mean? So let's move this out over here. Yeah, I'll move this over here. Now, 5:55, Drake's phone is at his car, or what it seems like. 5:55 and 40 seconds, Drake's phone is back at his desk. All right. And now remember, Eldora Gatchell's appointment was at 6. She claims that she pulls into the parking lot at 6:03, talking her mess. And she said that Dr. Drake was running behind, and that the guy comes out who is Paul Jacobson. He seems upset or whatever. Doesn't say hi and whatnot, but then they start playing their little banshees and ukuleles. Now, Drake's phone, when it comes back and it's placed on his desk here at 5:55 and 40 seconds, it stays on his desk until 6:44 and 9 seconds. 6:44 and 9 seconds. Now, this is interesting to me because at 6:42, remember, Jennifer Drake calls him, and her version of events is that it was a 13-second conversation, which it was. That was, checked off by records, 13 seconds. And she claims that, her husband's saying he's still with patients. Let me call you right back. All right. Now take a look. At 6:42, that's when that happens, and some change. The phone doesn't move. So if he picks up, because if he was sitting down, at 6:44 and 9 seconds, so it's in the same spot from 5:55 and 40 seconds, which now let's think about this. Ready? We have the video. You know how the doctor gets up and he's at the door and he's listening to the ukulele play? Well, just because he made that little hop along from his desk to the door where he greeted, Eldora's brother, his phone clearly is not on him. It's at the desk. See? 5:55, 5:54, or 5:55 and 40 seconds, comes back in, his car's at the desk, and it stays there until 6:44 and 9 seconds. Drake's phone moves for the first time since that. Then at 6:45 and 17 seconds, Drake's phone moves slightly again. Just slightly. And now this is where we're going to take it home. 6:55 p.m., Drake's phone again moves ever so slightly. 6:56 p.m., Drake's phone moves to the bushes behind his building. Now, in my opinion, this is consistent. Again, Drake's phone moves to the bushes behind his building. It's in the brush. This is consistent with the autopsy and the photos of Brian Drake's sweater based off of what the Emmy reported, and saying that Brian's sweater and the back of like where his elbows are on the sweater, that there's all this dirt and debris all over it. Debris. Okay. So just think about this right here. 6:56, Drake's phone moves to the brush area behind his building. 6:55, according to Tim, Hand and Columbia Bank / Boundary Electric cameras, Isaac Funderburg drives across the street from his apartment, seen by Tim Hand at the same time that Drake is walking out to the brush area of his building. You cannot make this shit up. This is 100% consistent with Tim said on his car clock, it said 7:03, but that that was, he's like, I always set my stuff a couple, like it's usually fast. So he's like, that's probably when that happened, I had to slam my brakes because of that idiot that came across with no fucking lights on, right? Describes Isaac Funderburg's car to a T. Okay, now, Isaac Funderburg drives across, literally, you can't make this up, where his phone was moving, and ends up at 6:56 is outside in the back by that picnic table, which Isaac Funderburg mentions this picnic table. Like I said, I was like, that's really interesting that Isaac Funderburg is talking about how he knows that there's a picnic table back there. And then wait till you hear Misty Olsen's interview when she says, we let the kids come over here and they'll sit at the picnic table and plug their phones in and charge their phones over there because we have electricity out from like an outlet that's, an outlet. And I'm just like, and she's like, we pay attention though, like, we don't really see like beer, like they're not drinking or anything out there. It's just interesting. So now 7:06 p.m. Drake's phone is now heading back to his the double glass doors. So if you see, that's going to be almost 10 minutes that he's out over there. And this could be somebody that's, this is when I believe shit happened from here to here, like during that time frame is when I believe that the good doctor was shot. Between 6:56 and 7:06, this is what's consistent with him being out by the bush area to be able to be on the ground if he had a confrontation with somebody, and the way that he was shot, somebody taking a gun and being able to shoot like up, in close range to him, and the back of his sweater being able to be all soiled in the dirt. Okay, you don't get that by somebody shooting through a window and you falling over in your fucking floor. Okay, that's inconsistent with any and all of that. But right here, this is like, that's where he went. That's where his phone went anyways. Now 7:06, his phone is now heading back towards the double glass doors into the building. 7:07, Drake's phone is in the same spot as it was at 7:06. 7:17. Okay, there's no, between 7:07 and 7:17, there's no movement with his phone until you get to 7:17, and Drake's phone is back on Drake's desk. And as the same time that phone is being put back on his desk, that is the same time that the phone call then is made from his phone to Jennifer Drake's phone. 7:17 started off that 9-minute and 15-second phone call. Okay. There was no tarp to be seen back. The tarp was gone. It was a bluish tarp, and it was gone by Tuesday. So there was no tarp to be able to be seen. This was all handled on Tuesday with the homeless transient man. And I don't want to say homeless, like, I mean, he couch surfing, what the fuck ever. Now, 7:17, again, no movement. Then I went ahead and I took a peek at Jennifer Drake's movements between 7:17 and 7:27, and I'll come back and talk about that. But for right now, 7:17 to 7:27, no movement. The phone's in the same spot for Drake's that call. Then Drake's phone moves from his desk to 3065. What can I help you with? Hold on one second. All right, so then here we go. Let's move in closer. Right here. 7:28. Again, Drake's phone moves to 3047 from this spot. Just a slight move, okay? Which is the glass doors right outside. Again, how do I know that? I'm going to show you how we know that. Let's see. Three zero four seven. 3047. See that? When you're standing right outside the glass doors, this is what it looks like. When you take your picture and you're standing right outside of Drake's, you come right up to the glass doors and you take a picture. This is the latitude and longitude, 3047. So right here at 7:28, all right, I'm going to show you guys something. So Drake's phone at 7:17 is on the desk. Then it just moves a 3065. Then at 7:28, 3047. Again, take a look. 3047 is right outside the glass doors. So this is a man that's supposedly down on the ground, right? And he was shot, according to his wife, when she was on the phone with him, right? Let's take a look. So right here, after he was shot, this is where his phone is saying that the phone's at. The phone is supposed to be right next to his head. It's right here, which is right outside the glass doors. Then Drake's phone receives a call from Jennifer Drake's phone. It was a missed call at 7:32 and 50 seconds. That just shows up on the call log. Drake's phone doesn't move at all until 7:46 and 18 seconds, which it's just reassuring us that his phone is in the same location at the front door, 3047. So from 7, check this out, from 7:28 to 7:46, that phone is literally in the same spot, which I just showed you guys where that is. In my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion. This looks like somebody took Drake's phone, right? After he attempts to go back, rolling around whether or not he was lifted and placed back in his office, okay? Or, you know, he made it on over there with his little wheelie around. What it looks like to me is that somebody is standing outside those glass doors, guarding the glass doors to make sure that this man does not try to leave, right? Because he's in there, right? And you're just waiting for him to do what? Bleed out, die, in a sense. Now, think about how fucked this is. Jennifer Drake calls 911. Don't know whose cell phone she used because she didn't use hers. She calls 911. She gets passed around, right? But it eventually makes its way. She gives these motherfuckers the address to Drake's she gives them the address. Like, this is where he's at. Explain to me how, if you get a phone call at 7:29, it's passed along with the address that eventually you have at 7:31, 7:32, how you aren't at that physical address of 6811 Main Street, Suite B. I'll tell you how. In a minute. 7:47 in 22 seconds. So a minute and about 4 seconds later, Drake's phone moves to the pathway right by where Misty's office window is at the Hartman Financial area, which is back, you know how, what's his name? Isaac Funderburg says the person was coming up through that area. You saw somebody coming up through that area. Okay, so Drake's phone is now at 7:47 in 22 seconds. It is now up that pathway. It's back in that brush area, but past it, and it's in between the fence, you know, coming up that area. Now, 7:48, 7:49, Drake's phone, okay, Drake's phone receives a missed call and then another missed call from, right now, we're just going to say it's an unknown number. Remember in Jen Drake's statement, she said that when she got a phone call, they called her at 7:44, and it was Boundary County Sheriff calling her at 7:44. And then she's talking about something like they said that they were with them, or they were, you know, this, that, and the other. But they wanted his cell phone. What's his cell phone number? What's his cell phone number? And she's like, I don't know why they needed his cell phone number if they're with, like, what the fuck? Well, you need his cell phone number because of a possible couple reasons, being that if you were running with somebody's cell phone and you drop it, can't find it, it's dark, we have to find this motherfucker's cell phone. So therefore we have to call it so that it rings so that we can find it. You get what I'm saying? And so I think it kind of makes sense with that. But there could be a couple other things, but they want to know his cell phone number. So hold on one second. I need to put my stuff on silent. Okay. Just gonna keep buzzing over there. Now at 7:54, I have body cam footage that shows these officers, and at 7:46, 7:48, these officers in the area acting like they don't know where the fuck to go or anything like that, okay? And they're asking Aaliyah Sandland. So I have some of this body cam. But at 7:54, what says 7:54, not on the camera, it says actually 6:54. And what they're trying to say is that the cameras were, because of daylight savings, these cameras were off an hour. I've never heard of body cameras ever being off. I've heard of like you're gonna have to bring in an expert in maybe we can call WSU and ask them, since they have, you know, they're experts with Exxon body cam. But when you look at these, and I'm going to show you guys some body cam, when you're watching these body cams, they show the door being kicked into Drake's because it's locked to get in at 6:54, not 7:54. Just throwing that out there. Now, so at 7:54, the body cam is one of the guys kicking in the door, and there's like 3 or 4 officers, and they go into Drake's. Again, it says 6:54, but they're trying to say that it's 7:54. Now, at 7:57 and 23 seconds, Drake's phone is utilizing a cell tower. At 8:02 and 43 seconds, Drake's phone is utilizing a cell tower. At 8:02 and 59 seconds, Drake's phone has fucking moved from where it was at 7:46 and 18 seconds. So think about this. Drake's phone is in the same location at the front door, 3047. 7:46. 7:28, it's moving back towards the last doors at 3047. And then at 7:46, it's in the same spot. I'm wondering if somebody got his phone, shut it off. You know, you got to throw that out there. But at any rate, 7:46 is at the glass doors. 8:02. So after they would have already been in Drake's, kicked it in, and I can fucking see it on a body cam. Physically see that there's a phone right next to his head. Well, I don't know what fucking phone y'all put there, but it ain't this one. It ain't this phone. Not at this point. There's a phone that's on the ground next to his body that is not this phone, and I'm proving it right here. 8:02 and 59 seconds, Drake's phone is at the front corner of the drive-through alley of the coffee shop where all the fucking cops are gathered and talking on body cam. And remember, they're talking to each other and they're saying, and they're looking at, oh, did it fucking go through? Oh my God, is it on the outside or the inside? And there's a vehicle that pulls up. Check this out. His phone. At 8:16 and at 8:17, his son texts him back to back, I love you, and then Papa. Okay? I love you, and then Papa. At 8:18 and 7 seconds, Drake's phone is at the same location that it was at 8:02. At 8:19, it's in a car. That's what I think. At 8:19 and 28 seconds, Drake's phone is at the same location that it was at 8:02. Remember how I said, how did these text messages get read? Has a dead man read a text? At 8:19 and 44 seconds, Drake's phone moves to its final resting position, which is then on the floor next to his head. But guess what also happens at 8:19? You guys remember how they had to shuffle in? They had the fucking the medic crew staging, and they had to clear the building, and then they let the medic crew then through to then go to his body. They brought the medic crew not back through the glass doors. They brought the medic crew through the front doors, through that blue front door. And you could see it on body cam. Now, what I believe I can do is I believe I can take all of this body cam, and I believe that I can start eliminating who did not have Dr. Drake's phone and who did, based on where the fuck they were in their body cam footage. Now remember, we have a trooper car that's waiting. Aldora, I think that's Aldora's pilot, allegedly, and then there's a truck right after it. And then here we go, we see that trooper car. There's only 3 cop cars that are not SUVs that are like the Charger-looking cars. And those belong to Brandon Johnson, who was one of the first arriving motherfuckers on scene. Marty Ryan and Bill Cowley. Those are your 3. And Bill wasn't working. And I mean, Marty wasn't, but we'll get to that. So if we go back to right here, Drake's phone moves from his desk to this location. Then 7:28, Drake's phone moves 3047, which is right outside the glass doors. Okay. And then remember Jennifer Drake said when she tried to call him, it just went straight to voicemail. It went straight to voicemail when she tried to call him. So that would mean at that 7:32 and 50-second call that was allegedly missed, okay, did that go straight to voicemail? Because if it did, then it was shut off, like I was saying. And now think about this. We got that car that's waiting, the trooper car that's waiting. And then it comes from behind or whatever. I want to compare that timestamp. I want to see where that car goes. But I have an SUV truck now that I have pulling past on the Liberty cameras, which is right there at 6:49 and 4 seconds. I have a police SUV coming past at 6:49 and 4 seconds. I have a police SUV 4 minutes before that at 6:45 and 9 seconds. And then obviously I showed you guys how I had the one sheriff guy. Now, I got cops swarming all over this, but more importantly, what I do believe I have is I think I have Isaac Funderburg possibly witnessing the actual shooting, or he's going to have to come clean that he may be the shooter. But Isaac Funderburg literally IDs to a T Caleb Kakoa Nazara, who was there, okay? And if Drake is in fact walking these folks out at, let's say, 6:55, because like I said, he's going outside. What wouldn't make sense though is for Caleb Coco and Azara and Aldora, they would have gotten in their truck right then and there and then drove off. So we should have seen Aldora's vehicle at like 6:58. Okay. At the absolute latest. Makes sense? The same person that had Drake's phone read those text messages. That's why they're red. Okay. And was able to place Drake's phone back in its final resting position by 8:19 and 44 seconds. And guess who went back and walked Dave McClellan and Brandon Johnson were the two people. And Brandon Johnson basically sucked off Marty Ryan like a son of a bitch. And anything that Marty Ryan told Brandon Johnson to do, he would have done it. Maybe not knowing what the fuck he was ever getting himself into. But I think that you would know if you have a guy that got shot, his cell phone on you, like right then and there. But Brandon Johnson walks back Dave McClellan from the sheriff's, he's a detective, walks him back. He says right after medic clears, and that's when then he walked Dave McClellan back to the office where, Drake was at. And then that's when I believe that the switcheroo of the cell phones happened. This was 100% Jennifer Drake would have to be in on it to be able to say that her husband was shot through the window. He was not shot through any fucking window. Okay. I believe I know when that shot was taken, and I think that the phone kind of tells us it. Because it moves ever so slightly. I think that that's when the shot happened, but right there. And then the shooter then shoots out the window because he's like right on top of that window right there, shoots out the window from the inside. Then Drake's phone moves to that location, which is right outside the front glass doors. And so it's like he shot out the window, then, which look at when that would happen, 7:27. And then Drake's phone moved right outside the glass doors. So that's when I believe that the shot, shooting it out happened. But when Isaac Funderburg went through at that 6:55 time, that's why he heard two gunshots. Okay. So Drake's phone, which I do believe Drake, because he went out back there and he's out back behind that brush area where you're going, that pathway. He's back over there. Not sure if he was supposed to meet somebody. Not sure if Caleb Coco and Azara, pulled a gun on him and fucking took him back out, that way. Not sure if a cop came in when they were having their, when what's her name was having her, when Aldora was having her appointment, if then they went ahead and had, one of those officers come on in and whatever Drake got himself into, I believe he was doing it with members of the police department. I know that everybody says that, Drake was probably banging somebody's wife and they found out and they just fucking took him out. This was completely staged. This was a multiple person operation to stage this. And it took the police department. The police is who has Brian Drake's phone. 100% the police have his phone. And they didn't just take it when they went in there at 7:54. Okay. The person that had it was the person that shot the motherfucker. All right. How do I know that? Because of all of this. Because they watched Brian Drake bleed out. Who shot him? All right. 100%. It was sick. Brian Drake's back, all of his sweater is completely soiled with all like leaves, crushed up leaves, and that dirt that is consistent with what's outside, right outside his office, right where his phone was at this time. Right out where he was for multiple times for him to do his little dealings. You know, if he was... Isaac Funderburg driving across. Now, Tim says his phone or his clock said 7:03, but he had that a little bit fast. So would it make sense, like I've been saying, that when Isaac went across, it was more like, 6:58 after he heard that first shot. Then he says he heard, he thinks he heard what would be 2 shots. Well, I don't believe that second shot happens until right here. Unless it was an echo. And now you have to think about this though. What are the odds that Brian Drake is over at fucking Isaac Funderburg's place? Now, what are the odds that, how could all these people kind of be in on something? What's drugs? It's drugs. What the fuck are you doing? But at the end of the day, I wholeheartedly believe that whoever took this shot, 100%, they're familiar with shooting a gun. This was nothing like, oh, I tried to scare him, or, oh, it was an accident. No. This was planned. This was an organized hit. Like I said, multiple people. But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that the police had his phone. Because the body cams put these fucking people in the spots where his phone was at this time, and at this time. There's only so many people that had access, and it was all police. It doesn't matter what police officer. Now, do I think that there's a possibility that Brian Drake was fucking Marty Ryan's wife, or maybe not even fucking her, but hitting on her to the point that, I mean, Marty Ryan did something about it? Nah. It's not enough of how do you mix in Jennifer Drake into that then? No, what I believe is that Eldora Gatchel and whatever they are involved in, I know that they would go around and ask people to get involved and do like, hey, buy in, help. My mom has a store. Do you want to, she really wants to keep it running in Hawaii. Why don't we become business partners? And there's people that Eldora did that to in the past, and they turned her down. And so do I believe that Eldora Gatchel and Brian Drake and his wife on some type of level were like partners in something? Absolutely, I do. That's what makes sense to me. Why would a cop go and visit her? The same cop that was seen on camera driving back there, go and visit Eldora Gatchel the next day. All I know is that a dead man laying on the floor at 7:26 can't be doing any of this shit. So this, in my opinion, is exculpatory for Dr. Moore, right? It's not my job to solve this case. I think I could, but this, in my opinion, is exculpatory. And ISP didn't even fucking open it. ISP didn't use Brian Drake's, any of Brian Drake's data when they did their fucking Excel spreadsheet. That's like what they're trying to do in the Idaho 4 case. You're not going to use Kaylee Gonsalves's movements. You're not going to use Maddie's movements. You're not going to use Xana's. You're not going to use Ethan's movements. And are you out of your fucking mind? Oh, wait, that's what Idaho State does, though. So this makes sense. But if somebody would have just opened up the Google search warrant that they got back, the GPS on the Google search warrant, they would have seen that motherfucker's phone's moving all over the place. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? So you want me to sit here and tell you that I don't think there's a fucking, that everything's on the up and up in Idaho with the Idaho 4 case? I'm going to laugh at you. And I don't care if someone says I don't know fucking procedure. I don't care about that. I'm sitting here showing you that these dudes didn't do their job. Not only did they not do their job, but I am showing you how the police are 100% covering something up or did it and covering it up. That's what I'm showing. Clear as day. And if I'm wrong, I will fucking eat crow. But I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong because I have the fucking data. And the data shows me that his fucking phone was moving all over town during the day, okay? But more importantly, right here, once he's dead on the ground, how the fuck is his phone then at the fucking gates of the glass doors on the opposite side? No, that's somebody guarding it. That's somebody that's making sure that you don't fucking get in there, because this motherfucker has to bleed out. Because if somebody gets in there and saves his life, he's going to be able to tell everybody who the fuck shot him. And it isn't Dr. Moore. The fuck out of here. And nobody shot anybody through a glass motherfucking window. Period. That's embarrassing to anybody that's a damn fuck mathematician, science. Fuck, you don't even have to be a dropout in high school and be able to do and look at that hole in the window and do trajectory with it. And then you compare it to when the Emmy is sitting here telling you that, no, it's not a downward fucking, it was an upward angle. So then why is Van Leuven over here sucking on his dick saying Brian's over here sucking on his dick, leaning forward, and got shot leaning forward in a chair that has no glass particles on it. That has glass particles on it, which it shouldn't have any because he was sitting on it when he was shot, right? When it all fall off. No glass particles anywhere near his body. No shards anywhere. You would take that with you. And in fact, the guy has dirt all underneath his fingernails, and his back of his sweater is completely soiled in blood, leaves, and dirt. So you explain to me how that man has a completely dirty ass back if he wasn't rolling around with somebody in the brush and then they had a gun up into his backside, like in his side, and shot it. And it hit him. That's what it looks like to me. And then he tried to get away, right? And I think he lost his phone in the process. Maybe they took the phone from him. But at 6:27, or I'm sorry, at 6:17, then somebody calls Wifey Poo. And I think maybe they threatened the fuck out of her. And they told her that you're going to do this, that, and the other, or, we're coming for you. Who the fuck knows? Otherwise, she's involved. Either you're going to come forward and say that you lied about everything, or I think that you're involved. like I said, I'd want to help Jennifer Drake if I don't think anybody should be threatened and extorted and blackmailed. And so you went and said all this. I mean, but she's the one on the opposite end of $1 million within 3 weeks, not any of these other people. And then she says that she didn't even get to touch the $1 million, that she gave it to her financial advisor or some shit like that. Who said, who the fuck, what, huh? I don't know. I don't even think the Drakes had a financial advisor. They were horrible with money. Brian Drake, horrible with money. So I don't know. Who's the financial advisor? I don't even know. Maybe she didn't even say that. I don't know. Maybe she's living in the Caymans off her million. $1 million isn't a lot of money when you got to split it a bunch of ways. Even fuck, we don't have to split it anyways. It's not a lot of money. Think about it. If you make $100,000 a year, it's 10 years. It's gone. Any questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to put I showed you guys some of the body cam. It's on some other shows from this stuff, but I don't think anybody can sit here and tell me that this is not exculpatory for Dr. Moore. I want to know how the fuck you say you live in a digital age world. How the fuck, when you leave Dr. Moore's phone off of your guys' little spreadsheet, ISP, y'all suck. When you leave Dr. Moore's phone and his shit off of the spreadsheet, when you leave Dr. Drake's shit off of the spreadsheet, and you guys go off with some fucking cameras with some vehicles and a wrong time frame of a shooting, yeah, that's how the fuck you. This man wasn't shot at 7:20, 6 or 5 p.m. This man was shot between 6:56 p.m. and 7:06 p.m. And I'd bet my channel on the fact that Dr. Moore didn't kill anybody. I don't care what he said, and some fucking confession fucking bullshit. In fact, the first time that man was ever talked to, I got the transcription of his interview that he did at his office, which lasted like 15 or 20 minutes with Van Leuven and Tolson. And it's absolutely craziness. And Van Leuven is in the contacts of the Drakes based off of the Cellbrite data for fucking years, unless there was a glitch in some of the download. And that's interesting to me. That's like, wait, excuse me? Talk about a conflict of interest. This could be a potential Karen Reed type case right here. I am looking forward to covering Dr. Moore and Jennifer Drake's civil trial this July. It's going to be like a little mini criminal case, if you ask me. Jennifer Drake is suing Dr. Moore for wrongful death. Okay, that's why I'm doing this. Again, so think about this. They threw out the charges on Dr. Moore, right? But before they even threw out the charges, Jennifer Drake filed a wrongful death suit against Dr. Moore. And now here we are. There's going to be a trial. It was supposed to be in January, but they pushed it back to July. Jennifer Drake says that Dr. Moore killed her husband, and she is going for trying to sue them for all of everything that they have. And I'm just like, the fuck? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? So check this out. How do you win a suit? How do you win a case like that when you have a false confession, right? And so Jennifer Drake's going to say, oh, well, this guy confessed that he did it, right? That's why I think that he did it, right? But is she going to try to introduce any of the evidence that was in discovery? And I say this, it's kind of funny. What fucking evidence in discovery is against Dr. Moore? Because they turned over, the state police, Idaho State Police, turned over their entire fucking case. When I say their entire case, I am talking the entire discovery. They handed it over to Jennifer Drake and Jennifer Drake's team to take on Dr. Moore in a civil suit. Wait, but aren't you trying to catch a killer here? I thought criminal investigations, you were like, you don't give out your information. Have you guys ever heard of such a thing? Do you understand this? Like, wait, excuse me? Jennifer Drake is in possession of the whole entire motherfucking criminal case. The investigation. What are you talking about? So then I said, all right, let's fucking play ball, man. Let's play ball. So I hit up ISP saying, for you, baby, I want it all and I want it now. Like how? So, basically I just blew this case out of the water. I know that I did. I don't claim to be a lawyer. I don't claim to be a cop. I am one of the best researchers, hands down, in the United States of America. And you give me a discovery and I will find it. Or I will tell you that it's not there. I will get to the truth. I got no skin in any game other than if you truly want the truth and you're not afraid of the truth, come to me. If you're afraid of the truth, don't come to me because I don't want to have to be the one to tell you like, holy shit, damn. There's this or there's that or this. There is not a single fucking shred of anything against Dr. Moore. Nada. Nothing. And that's why I can't fucking wait to see who Jennifer Drake thinks that she's going to call to the stand. Herself. These cops. Well, I would be wanting to call these cops if I was Dan Moore's attorneys. Like, who? And then the question's going to come out is, why do you think that Dan Moore is responsible for your husband's death? Well, because that's what law enforcement fucking told me. So then I don't understand how then Dan Moore can't sue the fuck out of law enforcement when they had all of this. They have exculpatory evidence. And they knew that they had it because they knew who the real killer was, in my opinion, which how the hell, how do you go about this? I don't fucking know. I can give you all the information, but how does Dr. Moore come out a winner in a civil case that this woman believes Dr. Moore is the killer because the police told her that? Oh, and because he confessed to it. So how do you overcome that, right? Well, it was a false confession, right? None of the evidence matches what he was saying, right? And he told him that he threw the fucking gun in the water. They've done 4 dives now in that water. 4 dives, nothing's there. There was no gun thrown in that water, okay? Do you know that they sent the bullet to WSU's lab this out. I said, God damn it, are you kidding me? WSU was sent this fucking bullet for analysis. And I said to myself, oh shit, I don't even want to read this report. I look at this report. It was sent on April 6th of 2020. They sent it back April 20th of 2020. Like they already had their shit done by then. This bullet is the most pristine thing I've ever seen. It was like it's never been fucking shot. It's crazy. It's nuts. Yep, they just took it right out of him. So, the rumors that have been stirred in that town, they ruined a man's life. And I don't, for the life of me, I said, why Dan Moore? If he's somebody that has money that can fight it, right? I'll tell you why Dan Moore, in my opinion. Because of what I just said, money. You pin this on some motherfucker. I think the jealousy was two-way full here. I think somebody's out there jealous of Dan Moore. I think there's somebody out there jealous of that motherfucker, and they wanted his land. They wanted his money. We're going to blame him for this. We're going to be able to sue him, so we're going to get the $1 million. Then we're going to sue him for wrongful death. He's just a little puss that's going to take it or some shit, or we're going to be able to beat it. But at the end of the day, this guy's going to pay out twice. If you think about it. We're going to collect the $1 million, and then we're going to be able to sue for wrongful death, and we're going to be able to take what? Because Dan Moore has what, like a bunch of property? A bunch of fucking property? I went ahead and I personally hired, I said, fuck this. I said, I'm going to personally hire my own fucking Celebrite expert. Because I just was like, all right. So this is what I need. I need your guys' help. I've done since June and July of 2023 until present day. How many months is that? Just go August, September, October, November, December, January, February. I started looking into like Tulsa, like once that name got probably like March, April. Really went after it hard though in the summer. Let's just say 7 months, 8 months. I've probably put in easily 40 hours a week. Right? Easily. There's days I'll do like 15, 16 hours. Get up at 9 and, work on through, try to get through everything by like midnight, 9 to midnight. Dan Moore's innocent. Brian Drake deserves justice. And I don't think the wrong people should be accused. So I don't want to sit here and say that Jennifer Drake had something to do with it. Okay? Because just as dirty as they did Dan Moore, they could have done Jennifer Drake just as dirty, right? Dirty is dirty. Like you don't have there's no boundaries on. So we need to start looking at into some civil, Idaho civil rules of procedure. Okay. And how do we I believe that this court case has to be seen and there has to be cameras in that courtroom. We, the people, with what this The public has mass interest in this. We need to figure out a way that July trial is 100%. We need cameras in the courtroom. They cannot bury what they did in this criminal investigation. This has to be exposed. And how you can expose it is if somebody brings a civil suit against you, you actually have a lot of things that you can do, because now you can go and subpoena the fuck out of, let's subpoena Marty Ryan. Let's bring his ass in. Let's depo this person. It's very similar to what the fuck is going on in the Karen Reed case in terms of we need to get phone records that don't belong to either party, but we're going to show why we need those phone records. And now let me remind you guys remember how Brenner Drake said that he called Dwayne Fish, and Dwayne Fish, that happened at about 6:50 when he gets notified that his dad was shot. All that takes is Dwayne Fish turning over his phone records for that month to see what time that phone call came in. And is it at 6:50? But all of these officers, in fact, I did it. Where the fuck is that? I did it on one of my lives. I read off the questions that should be asked to each of these officers. But these responding officers, they all need to be depoted. This court trial, this needs to be seen. If we're all invested in that Idaho 4 case, I'm telling you, I am fucking telling you right here and right now that the digital evidence wasn't even fucking open. Or if it was, they knew that it was that. Like, go get the real killer. If there's no skin in the game, go get the real killer. One of the women that were interviewed said that bullet was meant for Dr. Drake, that this wasn't a fluke, and it was one of the massage people that was right above, and they said, oh no, this wasn't a mistaken identity. This wasn't us taking out Hartman Financial. That bullet was meant for Drake. How come nobody has talked to that woman? But rules of civil procedure, we are allowed to write in motion to the courts. Myself and Bella already did it. Okay. We can motion to the courts, and we are allowed to ask to have you're allowed to ask for permission, just like they did in the Brian Colbert case with all these hearings. You guys know how they have like the camera in the courtroom. We are allowed, but we have to have somebody good write it, meaning we need a lawyer. Lawyers cost money. If we all chip in, we can probably get somebody with that background that works for the media companies to do this. And then I can then be the person that will use, like I said, the cameras and all that stuff. Like, we put our name in as the pool. The other option is, if you are doing a documentary, I believe you can get in with one of the sides, prosecution or defense, not prosecution, but plaintiff or defendant, if you are doing a documentary. Again, it has to be for the purpose, it's in the public interest. So how the fuck do we go about, this is the public interest, this is going to matter in Idaho, this matters. The investigation on how things were handled in 2020 with Idaho State Police 100% matters for the Idaho 4 case that was ran by the Idaho State Police. Corruption is in the public interest. So you guys see where I'm going with this? We can't let a judge shut out and not let there be a camera in that courtroom. We need to have a camera in that courtroom. I am telling you with every ounce of fiber being in my fucking soul. There was corruption in Sheldon Jeter Jr.'s case. I showed you guys that. I showed you guys the scientific evidence that the car was dry underneath the police vehicle, meaning it was there before it fucking started raining. Basically when the fucking kid was shot and killed, all right? This case, I just did it all with the Google search warrant printed off. This is only just like 3 days worth. That's how much, like, every fucking they met, every single movement, okay? Took pictures at different points so that we could pinpoint the exact location. But got it all. This is straight from the Google GPS search warrant. I promise you this case will help people get to the truth in the Idaho 4 case. Whether it's Brian Colbert, whether it's who the fuck ever. But this is bullshit. This is absolute fucking bullshit. This is absolute fucking crazy. People in Bonner's Ferry should be fucking irate. People in Idaho, period. People in the United States of America. This, police officers take oath. Okay, lawyers, just like you take an oath. But anybody can be bullied. You want to lose your job on being in the force? Like, no, then you're going to look the other way, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. But this needs to be recorded. And if we can just do some research, if people out there have contacts, okay, I will do all the work. I'll be our workhorse. We need people that have, it's not about what you know sometimes, it's about who you blow, okay? So if people know people, or if you have a talent, but we need to have cameras in that courtroom. There's no fucking way that Jennifer Drake wins this. There's no fucking way. That would be a travesty. Not only did this man lose his profession, they had to leave this fucking area where they lived, where they raised their fucking family. All of their friends, most of them, you know, shit on them. This town talking all this crazy ass shit. Anybody that knows that motherfucking Dr. Moore, motherfucker that can't hurt a goddamn fly, man. And y'all talk about in that area that you know how the cops are, you know how this is, then why are you even blinking an eye? You know that this man didn't do it. No, his daughter wasn't fucking banging Drake. His wife wasn't banging Drake. Nobody in that family was banging anybody. They didn't even know the motherfucker. Period. There was no connection. Period. Brian Drake had barely any fucking clients. All right. And all the clients he did have, look at their fucking rap sheets, man. He stole patients from every fucking person that he has ever worked for. And that's why they all let his ass fucking loose. Amy Strapolsta let his ass loose. Scott Crawford lawyered the fuck up. In a civil case, subpoena that motherfucker. Get Scott Crawford the fuck in there. He's the one that said that he was going to go after fucking Drake. Do I think that he did? No, I don't. But I think that whoever set all of this up knew the route to go, which was to say that y'all know where Brian ruffled feathers. He stole patients and They were the patients that were driving from a far distance. And his ass went to Bonners Ferry, set up a fucking satellite little office, and ran this shit. That's what he did. Now, does he deserve to die over it? No. Is it even about that? No. But somebody used that to then say that we're going to blame this on a chiropractor and have that be the little theory. Fuck your theory. Your theory doesn't work. Your theory is based off of no evidence whatsoever, and especially any evidence that fucking matters. Okay? So we need to have a camera in that courtroom. We need to apply pressure. That's what needs to happen. But I will put my work up against anybody. It's right. I double check, triple check, quadruple check. All I know is the cops had his phone. The cops were by that door. The cops were by far north. The fuck, man. And you got people in that area still thinking this, that, or the other. No, y'all are wake the fuck up. Why do you think everybody's retiring? Marty Ryan got the fuck out in December, ran his little fucking twerpy ass. Go do some push-ups, Marty Ryan. He took his fucking happy ass to fucking Virginia or some shit. Fucking pussy. Pussy in your push-ups. You sat there knowing damn motherfucking well that Dan fucking Moore didn't kill anybody and you just kept on going. And fucking I'm going to call him Van Flutter, Van Fuckface, fat ass, fuck you. You knew that he didn't do it. You didn't even do your goddamn job. And in fact, you go into his office and want to talk to him about like, hey, yeah, so I heard you had a gas leak and I mean, that's really not common. So were you trying to kill yourself? Fuck out of here. Because that's the way to go out. Let me just turn the gas here and let me just go lay on my fucking chiropractor bed and just lay here. The hell? Like, just absolutely. Dan Moore doesn't have a parking ticket. He's never got a parking ticket. Like, God, I want to seriously go work for the police department and be in a round table with these people and be like, the fuck are y'all talking about? Dan Moore. You think Dan Moore killed Brian? I would just be like giving him shit. Because I would say, did any of y'all do the work? The timeline I just gave you on Brian Drake's movements, why didn't they put that together? They're investigating the case. Wouldn't you do that? If you want to know who killed somebody, wouldn't you put the person that got killed's timeline all out there? That's what I would do. Isn't that what you would do? The fuck is going on? But no, in Idaho, no, we don't use the fucking victims' data. We don't do that in cases. That's what they do in Idaho. You guys didn't know that? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This is Trashville. This is fucking ridiculous. No, we don't use Kaylee Gonsalves' fucking data. We don't use Maddie's. We don't use Ethan's or Xana's. We don't use fucking Dr. Drake's. Well, whose fucking data are you using? Well, we asked the public if we can come over and look at their, their Ring cameras and their surveillance cameras. For what? Okay, go preserve those. Awesome. Awesome. And just because you have a car in the fucking area, you think that's a goddamn person that killed somebody? Have you lost your fucking mind? The fuck out of here. There's a car that circles that area every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds. Like 10, 15, 30 cars. I cannot even believe, like, what? And then you're going to listen to some fucking, this is who these assholes are picking out in a lineup. Where's the paper? Where's the damn paper? This shit has me hot. Look at this. Look at this. This woman says, right here, these two, husband and wife, we found out and heard that Drake got shot, the killing, Friday, March 13th, from his daughter, Donna, who was called by Scott Crawford. How the fuck would Scott Crawford know that Brian Drake was fucking murdered and was able to relay that literally the next day? Nobody knew this shit. How did Scott Crawford know this? And then guess what? When Donna went to be asked to be interviewed, Donna declined to be interviewed when we contacted her. And you just let that go? What in the fuck are you doing? Next time the cops come, I'm telling y'all, do not talk. Say nothing. Ask them for their autograph and tell them, here's a bottle of water. Have a good day. I have nothing to say. Oh, you're obstruction. That's obstruction of justice. Fucking arrest me then. This is crazy. You don't think that, wouldn't you be like, okay, this woman, wait, you don't want to talk to us? Okay, then let's maybe start looking into her. Like, who is this broad? Oh, guess what? Is that even how you spell that name? M-A-S-T? Is it M-A-A-S? I mean, what the fuck? This is day 1 of the investigation. That's some fucking ridiculous bullshit. How about this one for you? Here we go. Dr. Moore's first interview at his office with Van Fatfuck and Tolson. Let's talk about it. Here we go. May 6th, the first time he was ever talked to. Detective Van Leuven. It's easier for us. It's May 6th, 12:11. This is Detective Sergeant Mike Van Leuven. We're here with Detective Alderson interviewing Dan Moore. So, doctor, the reason we're here is I heard your story, and I found it so coincidental that another chiropractor so close to Dr. Drake would suffer that kind of an accident in such proximity, close in time. Because your accident with the gas leak that was on the following Sunday, correct? This is how they opened this interview at his office. And then here's me saying, heard his story from fucking who? Who did you hear this from? Dr. Moore, yeah, but come to find out, I'd probably been gassed for quite a while because all of us at the office had been complaining of headaches and not feeling good. So the fittings were loose or whatever. I don't remember anything because I was taken out and taken to the emergency room. And I mean, I really honestly am fuzzy about the whole thing. And the friend that I have that had a key to the place found me on the floor. Van Leuven. And who was that? Well, Mick Millett, the coroner. Oh, okay. So Dr. Drake's homicide occurred on Wednesday, March 11th. And then this fucking fuck doesn't even know what day the murder happened. And then his counterpart says Thursday, March 12th. Okay, so Dr. Drake's homicide occurred on Wednesday, March 11th, Thursday, March 12th. Or he was trying to, I don't know, see if Moore would be like, no, this day. Then detective says Thursday, March 12th. Like, the fuck? And so your accident happened on the 15th of Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. So just 4 days later. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so how long had... Now think of the way that this dude has interviewed every single person. Think about this. Think about the way that these interviews have gone. Hey, this is Detective Van Leuven. Okay, I'm here with so-and-so. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about, like, how did you even know Dr. Drake? You know what I mean? Like that. This is how this opens. Okay, so how long had your staff noticing the odor? I don't know. Why don't you fucking ask them? This is May 6th. Okay, the murder was March May 6th. The murder was March 12th. So 2 months later. 2 months later, and you want me to remember this specific date. Ready? Let's just see how this goes. Fucking complete fucking Chachi over here. Let's see. Let me go like this. They had just mentioned to me that they had headaches a few days before that. But I hadn't felt good, and I'm really the only one that usually goes to the basement because I get supplies or records and stuff like that. And my daughter has all of her stuff stored down there, so I have anosmia, so I can't really smell. I had my nose cauterized when I was really young. Now, do you guys remember in the probable cause affidavit how Van Fuck says, he acts like I knew what what is it, anosmia is. He acts like I would just know that. like it was a dig. He's just telling you something, and it's like he just makes it seem like I should just. So you didn't notice the odor that they put into the gas? I don't notice any, but when Mick came that day, I passed out, and the door had been left open from the basement, basically is what he's saying. And he said he was afraid to turn the light switch on. He works for the fire department, too. How often do you go down to the basement? Oh, usually just for supplies. So, like, how many days a week? Oh, I wouldn't even be able to give you a number. I mean, it's just like do you go down there every day? Do you go down there every day? No, not every day. Maybe once a week. I mean, it could be like 2 or 3 times a week, something like that. Okay, did your staff ever complain of the odor or just headaches? And he says, so why did Mick come and find you? He drove. I think it was to breakfast. He gets up really early, and he comes in and uses the laser on his knee. In here? Yeah. So he has a key for the place. He has a key. You two are close friends? Really close friends. Yeah, I go with him on calls, and I hang out there almost every night over at his house, is what he's saying. Where? Where do you hang out? Like, where? He's like, at his house. He's just up the street. Okay, so you were here on Sunday. What time did you get here? I don't even remember. I mean, that day is gone. It would have to be in the morning. In the morning? I couldn't even guess what time. I got up to do the filter at my house, and then it's the same size filter as here, so I thought I would just come down and change the filter. This is the interview. This is the first ever interview of Dr. Moore. This is what was just leading them to think that this man killed Dr. Drake. Just watch this shit. The furnace filter? Well, the furnace filter, and I just usually do them at the same time, so I just came down, and sometimes Liani gives me charts of paperwork to do, and I'll do the paperwork, and I'll bring it back. I'm usually in here every day, actually. Is Liani the lady we met at the front desk? Yeah. She's your receptionist. Do you normally come in on Sundays? Yeah, I usually am here almost every day. He owns the building. Like, unlike Drake, he owns his building. I honestly don't know. Oh, wait, right here. Do you take patients on Sunday? No, unless it's emergency. If someone calls me, I come in, but I try not to do it. Okay, so what time? If you know, what time did Mick find you? I honestly don't know. You'd have to probably talk to him. Okay, do you know why he came in? Because I was driving my wife's car, and he drove by and saw the car and went to breakfast, he said. And then he came back and went shopping, I think, for groceries. And then he saw the car was still here, and he thought that's weird because it's a Sunday and I would only be usually dropping off records or coming in and doing something really quick. And then I'd go home or go hang out with him. So he just opened the door and the whole place was full of gas. And I guess they had changed a fitting or something to fix that, but I don't remember anything. They took me up to the hospital and did a blood gas thing. And the guy, apparently my wife was there, and they said, this is really going to hurt. And he just jabbed me in my wrist and I didn't even twitch. The fuck? Were you passed out when they found you? Yeah. I was like unconscious. Yeah. Do you remember when you got here succumbing to the gas as far as feeling dizzy or anything before you fell down? No. No memory. No memory. He said I kept saying my wife's going to kill me because I've almost died 3 times and my wife's about had it. I almost died of pneumonia about 4 years ago. I was in a coma for a month. Oh, geez. First interview with Dr. Moore at his office. And then I got paralyzed on my left foot, so I can't even run anymore. And then so he's telling him about his fucking, fucking mishaps. And then I got paralyzed on my left foot, so I can't even run anymore. And then I've had a couple other near brushes with this, but I'm stressing my wife out to the point where I just feel bad about it happening, but I don't know. So regarding the equipment downstairs, what happened to cause the leak? They said it was a fitting that was, who says, loosened up or whatever. All I know is that Mick said that they came in and replaced an old fitting or whatever. Can we see that before we leave? Sure. But let's finish this first. So who said? Did Avista come in and do it? Or who's the company? Avista came in and did it, yeah. Did they take you by ambulance to the hospital? No, evidently Mick took me. The fire department did respond, though, asked Van Leuven. Then they did, and the town was asking me what happened, whether the building was going to burn. It's such a small town, it's embarrassing. Did you ever talk to anybody from Avista? No. I guess I've never heard of a gas system in a building that's in place that all of a sudden starts leaking. It's new to me, is what Van Leuven says. Are you fucking kidding me? Is this for real? Is this for fucking real? I guess I've never heard of a gas system in a building that's in place that all of a sudden starts leaking. It's new to me. Yeah. I don't know. That was something that had happened up here. No, I mean, and we never had an issue. So I guess for me, investigating Dr. Drake's death, I'm trying to figure out what the possible link could be. If there was a link, if this wasn't an accident. He has a freaking gas leak. Then he says, oh, wait. He says, if there was a possible link. He says, if someone was trying to get rid of me too? Well, yeah. I mean, 2 chiropractors a block apart within 4 days. What's the deal there? He says, yeah, I do know that the back office is leased to the state, and I don't even have a key for it because he owns the building. Who has access to where the leak happened? They'd have to come through here, but only, Leilani has a key and I had a key. He's like, Mick had a key. I don't even think my wife has a key because I went and had some keys made. How do you spell Leilani? Yeah, gosh, you're going to get me in trouble. L-E-H, no, L-E-I. L-E-I, I would guess L-A-N-E. It's Hawaiian for flower. Okay. We'll go with this. Okay. And Mick had keys? Yeah. And and I think Mick likes me. What? What the fuck is this? This is how bad the transcription person is. Like, that is not what it says. How many people knew? Is it common knowledge that you don't have the ability to smell the odor? No, not that I know of. I mean, I just never have been able to. I had nosebleeds as a kid, so they just cauterize all the blood vessels. So it comes in handy in the summer around here when people don't take baths. I'm just... Shut the fuck up. Bonner's Ferry, start taking baths. Oh, okay. What did you call that disorder? Anosmia. Anosmia. How do you spell that? A-N, shoot. I'm not a good speller. I'm sorry. Anosmia. Like, geez. Yep, total killer here. Fucking killer. A-N-O-S, like, he's like, M-I-A? M-I-A, okay. I can Google that later. Do you remember the fire department responding that day? I don't. Honestly, all I remember is Mick saying something, and then he was taking me to the hospital. And I remember he said to me later, he goes, you kept saying Karen's going to kill you for doing this again. And he said, no, Mick, she's not going to be mad, and it's just because I put her through so much with that. She's traumatized from that. From the pneumonia. The pneumonia, yeah, it was bad. They had me in a coma for a month. And then I couldn't walk and I couldn't hardly function. And it just scared her to death. Can you think of anybody that might want to do you harm? No. And I can't think of anybody who would want to do to Dr. Drake harm either. I mean, I never knew him because I never met him. But from the people, when you have a practice in a small town, people just talk about each other, and I've never heard anything negative at all. So between you and Drake, did you know each other? Never met, no. Did you share any patients? Probably shared some patients. Don't always know, because you treat someone, and if somebody's not happy, they'll go somewhere else, and they don't necessarily tell you. But after he passed, I've probably had 1 or 2 patients that came in that said that they were going to him. 1 or 2 patients. This is the motive why he killed, so that he could get his patients back. But then he tries to commit suicide. Oh my God! Out of here. I'm sorry, but we just don't practice the same. So he did more massage, and he'd stay late at night. And I don't feel comfortable doing that with women or people in general late at night. I like to have staff here. That was the rumor going around town, that he was massaging these women. And that is exactly what these women said in their fucking interviews. Like, this is insanity. That's exactly what, Dr. Drake said, oh, why don't you come by later and I'll work you out some more. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's exactly, like, that's what was going around town. Like, this is just unbelievable. Did you get the impression he did that late at night? That's just what I've heard, that we would be there late. Who did you hear that from? From Kip Hartman. Kip Hartman? Yeah, and Kip seemed to like him too. So no local rumors within the chiropractic or medical community about him or about any fights between different doctors or anything like that? Oh no. I had never heard anything about that. The only thing that I'd heard lately was it was just odd that he would work late hours and see patients late like that when his family wasn't that far away. And they just thought that was strange. And that all came from Kip? No, some of that, I don't know, different people that would say, people would come into the office and just talk. You guys know what it's like. It says, I don't know, different people that would say he was there late. And I can't think of anybody in particular, but it just like with me. Emma Fields was one of the people, by the way. Two-time bitch. My own personal thing is, if I was an hour away from home, I'd want to go home and see my family. I just think that's interesting, but there's no crime in that, and I don't think anybody would be upset. Sometimes the reason I come in on Saturdays is because people work out of town and they come back late. So you've either got to be here super early or super late. So that's probably what he was doing. So attending to people that tended to come home late or work late and just needed to get to a doctor after hours. We noticed in his schedule, it was pretty common for him to have big slug of patients in the morning. Oh, and then maybe a 2 or 3 hour break in the middle of the day, and then a big slug of patients in the evening. Is there a reason why he might do that as a chiropractor? No, except it's tiring. I mean, like for me, but having that 2 or 3 hour break in the middle of the day, is that normal? That doesn't seem normal. Usually you'd have it equally flow through the day because that would be a waste of time to be hanging out for 2 or 3 hours. Okay, all right. I mean, not unless you have, and then there was crosstalk. Somebody suggested to me that maybe he left the middle of the day open. So if there was carryover from the morning, he had space to fill that, or then longer sessions in the middle of the day if he had new patients that he needed to take in. Does that make sense or no? Yeah, I mean, usually when you schedule for new patients to where you need more time to do the paperwork and the intake and then exams. But I think it'd be odd to just hang out for 2 or 3 hours if you didn't have anybody, because again, I want to go home, but I'm older. It's like I'm on the other end winding down. Sure, says Van Leuven. Like totally making fucking sense over here. Like nothing fucking crazy, right? He's like, what's his name says, Dr. Moore says, I want to see less people, not more people. Then Van Leuven says, okay, so you've never met him. Did you have any problems with him as far as being another chiropractor that you were competing with here? Was that ever an issue? Oh no, I've been here 23 years and we've been busy as we want to be. And I'm really too busy. So I'm kind of happy. And everybody's different. Some people want to do massage and then they want you to spend a half an hour. There's other people that say, hey, can you just do it? Like, give me a quick adjustment. And I physically can't do the stuff that I used to do. So we do more laser. I specialize more with doing more therapy. I have more staff. And I like doing the laser therapy because it's less forceful. I just physically can't spend a half an hour on each patient and do a lot of grueling stuff. I just can't. And some people are more into massage. Some people are more into adjusting. I mean, the medical field is more focused on a regimen of doing the same thing, giving the same drugs, doing the same type of treatment. With chiropractors, it's like you go see 10 different chiropractors and you'll get 10 different treatments. And so people just gravitate to whatever it is that they like. All right. Had there been any work done on your gas system or your furnace? Had any parts been replaced? New furnace, new pipes? Anybody down there working on it? Anybody down there working on any other equipment that could have caused the leak in that time period? Not that I know of. Any employees go down there and move any boxes or do anything like that the days before? Yeah, I mean, employees will go down there and take stuff down once in a while, but it doesn't happen that often. And if it is, it's just to store records. We keep all records down there on hand. And then when stuff comes shipment wise, then we take empty boxes and store them down there. And so I take my truck and I'll load it up and take it up to the landfill to get rid of it. I guess what I'm getting at is can you think of anything that might have inadvertently caused someone to whack into the pipe and cause the leak? No, I can't. That's the thing that's really weird about it. The only thing I can think of is that it was loose and it just got somehow a little bit looser. And then gas tends to fill up. It's heavier than air and it fills up. It must have just filled up. And then the fact that that Sunday I left the door open as I came up, he left like the basement door open, I guess. And that's why the whole place was full. But normally the door is kept shut for safety reasons, for people not falling down the stairs because they're steeper than they should be. They're not to code. Nothing to code in Idaho. Had any of your employees gone down there in the days before that week? Not that I can think of, no. Okay. I'm usually the one that's responsible for packing stuff up and down. Any problems with anybody here at work? No. Any problems with any staff that might have done this? No. I mean, I can't think of anybody that didn't like me to the point that they would want to get rid of me. I mean, you try to make everyone happy and you try to do everything. And then usually what happens is if someone's not happy, they just don't reschedule. But I've never really had, I've had a couple crazy patients in the past. I've had to get a restraining order against, but the fuck? How close in time to when this happened? Oh, this was a long time ago, like several years ago. Years ago? Yeah, it was ladies. What was the nature of those? Were they threatening you with physical violence? No, they wrote letters to my wife and it upset her. And it was some crazy lady that had changed her name. What the fuck is wrong with you, Idahoans? No, it was some crazy lady that changed her name about 3 or 4 times. It's on record at the police station, but I think she was mental. But I mean, she never had access to go. I mean, nobody's allowed anywhere where records are or anything else because of HIPAA. Okay, any calls to 911 either from your office or about your office or about your staff in the previous 6 months? What? He says, not that I can think of. Why would somebody call 911? What the fuck kind of, I don't understand. What the fuck kind of question? Okay, any calls to 911 either from your office or about your staff in the previous 6 months? Not that I can think of. Why would someone call 911? He said, don't know. He says, okay, yeah, I would have no idea. All I do know is that my daughter was taught to dial 911 in school when I first moved here, and 2 police officers showed up at my door. And I said, nope, nobody called 911. He's so like just mad, like he's like, well, I would think of it. Like, fucking A. And then here's Van Leuven. When I say 911, what I'm really asking is, did you or anyone here have cause to make any criminal complaint about somebody? Or did anybody have any cause? Do you see how fucking, like, he doesn't understand what questions you're asking, Van Leuven, because you don't make any fucking sense. What are you talking about? So he's like, okay, when I say 911, What I'm really asking is, did you or anybody here have cause to make any criminal complaint about anybody? Or did anybody have cause to make a criminal complaint about you or anybody here at the office? Yes, he is so innocent. He's like, no. I was like, no. I mean, what? It's about this goddamn gas leak. Then he's like, okay. He says, I did have a call years ago about a Dan Moore that got into a bar fight in Sandpoint. But evidently there's another Dan Moore because I don't drink. And my staff want to know, is there something we should know about you? Like, trying to like bust balls. Like, what? Then this, so now the question is, and don't feel uncomfortable. We just got to ask everybody this, alibi-wise. Do you remember where you were on Thursday? Yeah, I was with Mick at 7. He says at 7. Look at what time he asks originally. Do you see this motherfucking shit right here? At 7. Dude, I thought the killing was at 7:30. 7, you're asking him where he was? Well, that's interesting. That's interesting to me. He says, I don't know if I was there at 7. I got really sick. And then I ended up going and trying to find some medicine here. Couldn't find any and went back to his house and got some Motrin. I had what I thought was a kidney stone and I was throwing up and had diarrhea. But I go there almost every night and hang out. To his house? Yeah, and watch some TV with him. So you're pretty confident that Thursday evening, Thursday the 12th, 4 days before your accident, that you were with Mick at his house? Yeah. Do you remember when you found out that Dr. Drake had been killed? Yeah, I was at Mick's when the phone call came in. He said that night? Because these motherfuckers listen to the scanners. He says, yeah, yes, yeah. He had just said, and I had come and just gotten some anti-diarrhea stuff. And I said, I'm going home. And I think he was there until like 4 a.m. in the morning trying to take care of the situation. Do you know when it came in? Did he tell you who it was? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he told me or not. Did you find out the next day? Yeah. Oh, no. He called me. He called me that night. That's right. He called me that night. I was in bed. So you were with him at the house when he got the call from law enforcement that had a homicide had happened? He's like, yeah. And so he was leaving to go to the scene, so you left to go home? That's right. And then he called you later to say who it was. I believe it was, I think he called me around 8:30 or 9. I'm not positive. I just know that he called me at home at about 8:30. Yeah, but again, I can't be absolutely positive what the time was. Okay, well, we're talking about phone calls. What's your cell phone number? Go ahead and get that on that historical data. He said it's this. He said this. He said, yeah, sure. He says, is that the only cell phone you have associated with this office? He says, okay, that's your home phone. Well, we don't have a home line anymore. We disconnected it. Okay. And of your staff here on Thursday in the evening? No. So what time would you have closed on Thursday? 1. He said 1. He said, yeah. Okay. Do you own any firearms? You own any firearms, damn it. Do I? Rifles? No. Pistols? No. Pistols? No. Well, my wife's got a small one, but she decided after taking the course and talking to the attorney that there's too much liability in having a handgun. What's she have? It's a little teeny tiny one. Do you remember what caliber it is? I don't. Is it a revolver or a semi-auto? It's just a little teeny. I don't think it's a revolver. I don't know what it is. Does it have a magazine in the handle, or is there like a cylinder in the middle that turns? I don't remember. Okay. I mean, we haven't seen it in like 3 years. She took a course when she thought she would like to carry something. And then once she took the legal thing from Tim, the attorney in town, like the attorney up here. Anyway, she said the liability-wise, she didn't want to deal with it. What's your wife's name? Karen. You say you haven't seen the gun in years? She's got it, but we just probably stuck it away someplace. It's a tiny little thing. It's a tiny little thing. It's a tiny little thing. I don't know, whatever a small caliber, it would be a 22 or something. When it's a tiny little gun. But I mean, if it's important, we can find it for you. Sorry. But I mean, if it's important, we can find it for you. Okay. I mean, I'll just figure out where it's at. I bought it for down at far north. No, not far north. I'm sorry, not far north. It's down in Sandpoint on the left. Did you buy it new? Yeah. Yes. Did you register it in your name or in hers? Jesus Christ. They really think that this motherfucker did it. Probably in mine because I bought it for our. Okay. Does she have the same last name as you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're old fashioned that way, says Dan Moore. Like trying to maybe bust some balls with him. I don't fucking know. And the detective says, me too. So if we asked you to, you could find it and let us take a look at it. Yeah, absolutely. What's across from when you're going to Sandpoint? Not Sandpoint, but when you first get into town, it's not Sandpoint, but it's Ponderay. Ponderay on the left side. Yeah. And he says, there's North 40. That's it. That's where I got it from. It's been years. Like 2 years, 10 years? 2 years. 2 years, not a real fan of guns since my dad was murdered when I was 3. Where did that happen at? Crescent City, California. What were the circumstances, if you don't mind? My mom and him had separated. And he went down for work. And then my grandparents would never talk about it. I'm kind of always kept in the dark about it. First, somebody said he committed suicide. And then later at a family reunion, they said, well, it's kind of hard to commit suicide when it's a rifle in the back of your head. So I've just never been much of a fan of guns. Okay, so we asked the question, do you know who killed Dr. Drake? This motherfucker doesn't even say, I'm really sorry to hear about that. Doesn't say, like, fuck you, Van Leuven. Fuck you. Fuck you, man. You miserable fat fuck. Fuck you. Just had to get that out. Okay, so we asked the question, do you know who killed Dr. Drake? No. You didn't have anything to do with it? No. You don't have any idea who might have? No, I really don't. I have no idea. From everybody I talked to, everybody liked him. When you first heard it was him, what was your reaction as to why that might have happened? I was shocked. I had no idea. There's no murders up here. Well, I'll tell you this. The nature of what happened physically, about where the shot was taken from, the type of bullet that was used, where he was, all of that, which you're so fucking wrong. it was very reasonable to think that whoever did it didn't intend to murder him. They don't talk like this with anybody. Nobody. This man, on May 6th, nobody. This is the first time in any of the interviews does this man say these type of words to try to get this man to basically say that he did it. I don't think that they just didn't intend to maybe scare him or hurt him. It was kind of a fluke that he actually died. No, fuck you. Fuck you. No, it wasn't no fluke. Fuck you. I don't know what fucking evidence you're looking at. This ain't no fucking fluke. So given that knowledge, does that help you at all form an opinion as to anybody have a problem with Hartman that might have thought, didn't know that was him and was walking by and was mad at Hartman and putting a bullet through what they thought was Hartman's office window? Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors about that I've heard of, because we had him as an accountant. We have him as an accountant. And so he told me quite a while ago, he said, you're probably going to hear about it, but in Montana, I've got people mad at me because they think I took money and this and that. And so he was pretty upfront explaining. I mean, it makes you kind of worried, because I'm not that savvy with financial stuff. You worry that if somebody's moving stuff around, that they would take advantage of it. But I mean, I've known him since he was a kid, since his brother when I first moved to town is when his brother was murdered, and that was horrible. I mean, he lost his first brother, jumped off a boat in the Coeur d'Alene Lake, which we don't think he jumped off, and they never found the body. And then the second one, some kids, I think they OD'd and started to take him to the hospital, and then they took him to a burn pile or something. So that's just like something out of a bad movie. But supposedly the people would be from Montana that are mad at him. I haven't heard anybody over here that had any bad stories about him. Okay. Has there been anybody like a transient type person or a local crazy person that is in the area that walks around that might have done this? Dude, this is Van Leuven seeing if Dr. Moore knows anything about this shit, which is in the back alleyway. He's fishing for information to see what Moore knows about this. There's a few of those. One of the ladies that works at the Zip Trip, who I think wants to remain anonymous, had mentioned that there was a black guy that had been around really suspiciously carrying around a laptop and acting weird and going in and doing stuff. And she told the police about it, told how people had been by the house several times, and they never seemed to want to go look at the videotapes. They seemed to just ignore it. Who? Of this gentleman who had been in and out of, was it Zip Trip? Yeah, Zip Trip was. You heard this? Yeah, says Detective, because, oh yeah, Detective Richard Ulrich pipes his fucking ass up and says, oh yeah, Zip Trip was, and then he stops, because then Detective Sergeant Michael Van Leuven like looks at him and is like, you heard this? Yeah, because Richard Alderson, he's going around interviewing people, so is Brittany, and these motherfucking people suck dick, all y'all. Yeah, and then Van Leuven says, did we follow up with who that guy is? He's no longer here. Hollywood called him. Who the fuck is Hollywood? Who the fuck do people call Hollywood? You know who I think people call Hollywood is? I think people call fucking Marty Ryan Hollywood. Because Hollywood took care of this on the Tuesday before the murder. Marty Ryan used to work in LA. before he came to Bonner's Ferry. So I think they call him Hollywood. That's just me, though. Oh, he was from California and coming up here? Yeah. Do we have an interview with her? Her? What the fuck? Yes. And we have copies of those tapes. No, you don't. You call who Hollywood? Detective says yes, and then he says, okay. We went to her house last night. She was also the same one who talked about Dr. Drake parking at the church. This is Richard Olson. Okay. Why would he park at a church? This is Dr. Moore just like having a conversation with him. Why would he park at a church? And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's conjecture, so he's like, sorry. Like, he was like, this is how, like, just, oh, that wasn't my place to say that. Like, why would he be parked at a church? Because he was using their Wi-Fi, motherfuckers. That's why. And then he says, no worries. He says, have you heard any rumors about any activity that Drake might have been up to that might have caused this, like, infidelity or gambling or drug abuse or any problems that people in the community talked about? He says, I think the infidelity or the maybe hanging out with ladies late at night stuff was probably the biggest thing because he was, I guess, a young, good-looking guy. Was that just a theory? Yeah, I have no idea. Before this happened, had anybody talked about him engaging in that kind of behavior? He's like, no. Having an affair or something like that? No. There's 7 chiropractors in this town. 7 chiropractors in this town. It's like the size of our pinky. 7 chiropractors in this town. 7. I know 2 of them. And I come to work at 6:30 in the morning and I go home at 6 at night on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then I go home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Half the time I'm going with Mick to go pick up bodies and go to Spokane. Do you understand that there could have been a pretty decent odds there that Dr. Moore would have been transporting that body, but something happened and Mick didn't. How did Mick do the transport? I can't remember. But like he would just ride with them. You know, people not of murders, but like if people die of like, you know, health and cancer and whatever. He says, Dr. Moore says, I just don't like rumors, innuendos, and I just don't pay attention anymore because in this town, somebody says something and the next thing you know, I just don't go there because if it doesn't involve me, I don't believe half of what people say. It starts out at one end and then you'll hear stories and it's crazy. Had you heard anybody gossiping about him? He said, no. Okay, all right. Did your wife come here on Sunday when they found you? No. Did he call her and tell her that you were going to the hospital? Yeah. And she came to the hospital later? I think so. I never did ask what happened. Mick took me by his truck. And then I think she showed up. And to be honest, I can't even remember how I got home, but I'm sure it was with her. And I slept all day and didn't wake up till that night. I was another hour and that would have been it. Like he would have died. Yeah. Just you and your wife live together? Mm-hmm. Do you have any kids that live with you? No? The kids are all married. My son's in the Air Force in Germany. Yeah, everything's good except for me running out of lives. Like, what the fuck? How do you go at this man? No, the kids are all married. My son's in the Air Force in Germany. Yep, everything's good except for me running out of lives. Like a cat. All right, okay. Can you think of anything else we haven't covered? I can't. You got Mick's cell phone number. Can we get that from you? Sure. And he gives up that number. And he says, okay, I'm going to end the interview. at 12:46, and it started at 12:11, and it was over at 12:46. And then the next time that you saw Dr. Moore, it was April 24th or 26th, rather, 26th, when they said, hey, can you bring down that gun that we were talking about back before? So they don't talk to him at all in May, then June, then July, all of August. And then at the end of August, they say, hey, can you bring by the gun, your wife's gun? And he said he had just was moving and he'd hit his nose and knocked himself out, basically, gave himself a concussion. Took some medicine, says, yeah, sure. And then that's the video that y'all watched. That's the second time that they had talked to that man. And then we're just like, you killed him and everything that you saw. And we, and so when anybody's out there saying that they have all these interviews with him prior to, this is it. This is what you have. This is that interview at his office. This is it. And no other interaction with him at all, except in March, and they didn't record it. And it was just popping by with Leslie Lehman, the other detective, and she didn't record it. And it was like 10 minutes as they were just doing neighborhood canvassing. And it wasn't recorded. It wasn't even written. It wasn't even a written report. It was nothing. There was no existence of them ever even talking. So technically, this is the first time that they ever talked to Van Leuven. And the second time they ever talked to Van Leuven was when they had him in the station. Never talked to him on the phone. So anybody out there that's confused with that, this is the facts. This is your interview that you decide to say this man's a killer. So, okay. But check out the beginning of this episode. I believe it's all exculpatory in nature. And if you guys are members of my channel, I'll be showing the body cam if you're a member. After I end this right here, I'll be putting up the body cam and I'll be reviewing the body cam to take notes on and eliminating some stuff that I need to. So you guys can see behind the scenes stuff if you're a member. Dr. Moore is 100% innocent. Brian Drake deserves justice. And I know for a fact there's people out there that know exactly what happened that night. And I think it's only going to be a matter of time until the truth comes out. And just a matter of if it comes out and that person gets a deal or if that person's going to go down in flames. So have a great fucking night. But yeah, if you are a member, come check it out.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.